So we're gonna play a guessing game, guys. We're gonna guess as to if this is an ace match or maybe, you know, one of these players is up 1-0. I mean, we're just not gonna know. It's gonna be great. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, it is MaNa. Just consider it a best of one, I suppose. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it is DnS. The winner of this will be going on to face Gung Fu Banda, another Protoss player. So P, VP, 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 VP. P. Okay, so MaNa has some pretty good PvP. I'd say it's still what he's like well known for. I think he still considers it his best as well. Talked a little about it when he's facing Alpha Star, actually. But DnS, no PvP slouch. I think his PvP is also pretty good. Of course, when you're in Europe, most of the ways that you start to really break through and enter into people's minds and win money and stuff is by beating Zergs, but there's been a rise of Protoss, I suppose. Actually, a lot of Protoss are now making their way into well-recognized names, you know, like Skillisk, I think a guy maybe wouldn't recognize, but now it's actually like, oh, okay, yeah, we know who he is. Hellraiser as well. Stuff like that. So you're getting a little farther ahead based off your versus Protoss, and in this specific part of the bracket, you are definitely getting closer to qualifying because of PvP. So MaNa, hopefully feeling confident. Not gonna lie, everyone likes MaNa. He's a cool guy. He's been in the scene for a very long time. He's even a Brood War player. He's really, really young. DnS though, not like I hate him. Actually, I think he's quite good. He's also a cool guy. But he is, you know, still, as far as, you know, compare the two and their stories of StarCraft 2, he's still new. And every time it seems like he's like finally really figured out his weaknesses and he's finally gonna do really, really well, he just falls a little bit short. That's kind of been his story so far. And he's been looking to really solidify himself, like actually beat the next level, right? Get to a round of 4 instead of a round of 8. Beat some of the players he consistently loses to, that type of stuff, so. You always kind of think that he's going to make through these qualifiers, even if he won't make it through maybe now, today. This is the lower bracket, though, as a reminder, so whoever loses this series, again, I don't know what the score is, but it's definitely not game number 1, I can tell you that much, we'll just have to try again tomorrow. And if they don't win then, well, that's actually it. It kind of sucks. Well, I say that, but it means that they just have to go through the open bracket in Kiev. Anywho, a couple of adepts trying to get through, but like most pro gamers, they got that trigger finger for the shield battery. Shield battery being 100 minerals, yet it's very quick building structure. Hallucination comes in to get a really great scout. That's what you get when you open up with the sentry. For MaNa, what he gets when he opens up the depths is a potential to do some probe damage and maybe potentially get some scouting, but not nearly as reliable as the Phoenix. Hallucination, sorry, Hallucinating Phoenix. Because you do actually have a Stargate, so there could be a real one in the future. It's going to be the Oracle into another Oracle. And that's something that MaNa does not actually know about. No, he got in there, okay. So that's why the shield battery is already done. Okay, that makes sense. Shield battery is already done. This base is going to be protected by a couple of units. Now, if there was 2 Oracles already ready to go together, these sentries would be vulnerable. But grabbing one of them would probably cost the Oracle's life, so not going to be worth it there. Just going to take whatever they can get. So 2 probes here, as this one was left off to the side. And another scout in case that Hallucinated Phoenix didn't quite get it. You know what? Actually, didn't see the Twilight Council. Uh-oh, though. MaNa does finally get those adepts into the mineral line, so already killing 5 probes, forcing that second Oracle to come back home as well and use its energy, deflecting these adepts, so not bad at all from MaNa there. He really didn't take too much damage. Perfect world. He doesn't lose any probes whatsoever, but pretty nice. So MaNa, Twilight Council, finally going to be scouted because he does not get his own wall down against the adepts, but the adepts choose not to shade through. That's a bummer, not just because they didn't get any probe damage done, which they might do this time, but because they still haven't seen the Twilight Council. And this might be a tech structure that you just expect to see eventually, right? But it's actually really sucky he still doesn't see it. And that is researching Resident Enclaves. Now, these Adepts don't go to the main base because they don't have to. They're already getting a lot of probe damage done, and then the two Oracles back with at least some energy come in for further probe kills, and MaNa suddenly in a very bad spot, doesn't even get this last Adept, finally grabs it. The need to get some serious revenge. 12 probes go down, bringing him down to 27 versus 33. That's a pretty hefty chunk. They both are on two bases and starting to get to that high production point. So DnS, his side, he's still got two Oracles. He's now got an Immortal and a single shield battery. MaNa still prepping for an attack, but it's being all types of scouted finally. It's being all types of delayed, and it's going to be a little bit weaker because he doesn't have the economy he was supposed to, and if he wants to rebuild the probes to get back to that economy, that directly goes into not being able to produce from those gateways. So this is just a very tough spot for MaNa. It's already bad, even if he was planning on macroing out of this, but I think it's even worse considering he wanted to attack. Now, he does get the Warp Prism on that high ground, but with no force field, it's not going to be as abusive as you would really hope. It is at least something going. If he had attacked straight into the front, it probably wouldn't have looked good at all. But if the Adepts actually get into that natural, going to get some probe damage done. But MaNa took even more probe damage before all is said and done. So he went down to 22. DnS still feeling comfortable at 35. Now able to bring his army to the ramp. Actually, these Adepts go back into the main. So it's not done yet. Oracles barely live here. The two Immortals work out pretty well against what is still kind of a small army for MaNa. These Immortals can't save themselves. Actually, one's maybe going to go down. No, the shield battery helps out. It's nothing to deal with the Warp Prism. Ah, that Phoenix is real. That Phoenix is real. Warp Prism will have to be escorted away. The Stalkers aren't going to be able to save it. Oh, God. Oh, God, that was close. The Phoenix loses its life for it, but it was pretty worth it. And then on top of that, not only does the Warp Prism die, but DnS was already winning the ground war. Had to chase around some Adepts. Maybe that could have been a problem, but ultimately ends up in DnS's favor. He's ahead in workers, he's ahead in army. His army type is better right now, too, as the Adepts have to really grow in number again, and the Warp Prism has to be remade. Recall is used on the units in the middle of the map. That makes sense, but no shield battery here. Not a lot of, not just, in general, not a lot of units, especially because 4 Adepts decided to try and go for an attack. Only 2 currently shading, though. It's a little awkward. Oracle still capable of helping here. They don't have bad damage, but they also need to be tracked because they can pierce through that shield battery. So no matter what, MaNa's going to be taking damage. He pulls the probes into this. He takes probe damage in the main base or just losing mining time. Either way, MaNa is going to lose this game. It just started off pretty poorly for him. So many things happened very quickly where he was really down in that economy. And while it looks like he might just hold here, he's at 21 workers. Recall goes down. DnS realizes he would lose a lot of units retreating like that, and that ended up being ultimately the better move there. And MaNa now has really no choice but to all in, right? I mean, you can't even... He's actually producing probes, and I don't think that's it's going to be worth it. 23 workers. I mean, I guess he's been mining not so well for a long time, but he actually like still has a lot of minerals to work with, but that's not good. That's not good. There's no coming out of this one, and again, I don't know what the score is, so this could be MaNa on his last life, and I wouldn't know. We're gonna find out. Force field attempts. Is it gonna be enough though? It doesn't really feel that way. The Warp Prism's available for DnS, so he's able to pick up some units here. He's also able to save the unit that popped out on the high ground, and that force field was absolutely not enough. GG. DnS takes a game. Aw. MaNa's such a nice guy. Was it tied up? Okay, that was ace match. Cool. So great, that wasn't the end of it. So MaNa takes the first game, don't know how that went. DnS takes the second, and now we will decide who actually makes it through to face Gung Fu. Kind of rhymed. I'm special, I'm the only one here. So it is all tied up. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is MaNa. In the top left, as the red Protoss, it is DnS. Up in that cascade where I think we all know what team MaNa's on. So MaNa kind of just tripped up before we really got started on that attack, didn't he? Dealt with the very, very initial harassment okay. And then suddenly Adepts get into his main base. He's well out of position for the Adepts in the natural. Then the Oracle swoop in. It just turned very quickly into a disaster. But even with that considered, how many probes he lost. He was ahead in probes temporarily, so 15 probes died. He was only behind by 7, I believe. Like that was actually that bad of a game, considering like what that position kind of felt like. You know what I'm getting at? MaNa almost had it in him to do something, and maybe if that first attack on the main base had a force field, maybe that's a big difference. But everything just kind of worked out not in his favor from then on. Like first it was a huge haymaker, and then it was like jab, 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 and he just never really got any of his own jabs in. One tiny one with the Adepts right in the main base, and that was kind of it. Otherwise, it was the harassment into more harassment, into the Adepts harassment, and then to losing the fight on the front, into losing the War Prism to a single Phoenix. Like, it just kept on going worse and worse and worse, right? It's like a bad day because you stub your toe on your bedpost and it just gets worse and worse. But you're in a fresh game, and I was talking about this in the beginning of last game. MaNa still, I think, is very confident in this matchup, and maybe that he just looks at that as like, you know what? I don't take that much damage again in another game, pretty sure. And he might just be right about that. They do have different openers, so I already have to change things up here. No Stalker Sentry from DnS, I believe it was. And MaNa is going to go for... I guess he actually went for double Adept opener last time. So we'll see if he follows up with the Stalker Sentry. Stalker? It's actually something that MaNa would want to see for DnS. Did I mix up their names? God, I hope you guys are reading the scoreboard correctly. If I'm swapping their names around. Okay, so the Adepts are, I mean, they're seen, but it's like if you get a pylon there, maybe you can see what else popping out. No, definitely not. So the Adepts are seen, and the probe loses its life for it, but MaNa can now maybe play around with his own Adepts a little, decide to defend, decide to be aggressive. They both see each other's Adepts. 2 probes already went down, by the way, which was kind of surprising, but yeah, apparently they did. Uh-oh. MaNa not doing so hot there. Uh-oh. He's gonna shade into more Adepts. Well, even if he doesn't. Okay, he's not gonna shade. I think it's the right call, because he, at the very least, he could get some scouting that maybe DnS won't get, especially if his shades are gonna come back home. So that's actually not bad at all. Recall even goes down. Adept will be saved with no damage to its hull. Now, I didn't get a lot of scouting. I didn't see the next 2 Adepts pop out, right? Which, I mean, if you go 4 Adepts, that's like, that's a decent amount. If you go 6 Adepts, that's actually something that can break down the shield battery as it's building to block them. So it can be a nasty opener. And you combine that with the Oracle, which can also help break down that barrier, or just actually just go for the probe line because they're trying to deal with the Adept. Its point is, you actually have quite a few chunky ladies, all right, that can take a lot of damage. Especially early on when there's not a lot of units, and then you have an Oracle too. So which one do you prioritize? Already not going so hot. MaNa actually lets the Adepts in without any block. The Immortal does pop out in time, and the Adepts aren't targeting the probe, so maybe this will go okay. Stalkers re-target fire onto that Oracle. 5 probes go down, but that actually is not bad. I thought it was going to be much worse with no delay on the Adepts. I thought it was going to be more like 10 probes going down, but that was not bad. I actually managed to keep level with DNS's probe count with a slightly faster Nexus. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Thank you, Bacon Hero! A true hero of the people. As you guys get a bunch of sub gifts. Thank you for the 20 sub gifts. Much appreciated. Damn. If you get one of those, make sure to thank Bacon Hero. All right, so not so bad. And now MaNa has a Warp Prism and an Immortal here to go ahead and counterattack. DnS taking it very seriously. Doesn't have a lot to work with. 2 Oracles could be sniped very quickly, even with the shield batteries, honestly, if there's more Stalkers. And speaking of which, more being warped in. 2 Oracles go for the sentries. That is definitely the right pickoff, but 1 Oracle goes down. The second one's not going to help out very much after that. The shield batteries, one of them is out of juice. Second Oracle actually does go down. The Void Ray pops out, and that's going to be just barely enough, I believe, as there's not many units here. The Immortal is great, but you have some Sentries, you have some Adepts, and just not enough Stalkers to really tear that Void Ray down fast enough. That's going to really be the big units for now. Now, a couple more Stalker Warp-ins. You get 6 Stalkers, 8 Stalkers total at Void Ray. Maybe not so bad anymore, but especially in those low unit scenarios, Void Rays can actually be quite king. Now, they're very expensive, so they're almost never really wanted because they do fall off as the game goes on, but they can help against that type of push, and they can certainly help out against a Warp Prism. This is dangerous stuff that MaNa's playing with, but if he micros correctly, if he gets the jump on the Void Ray, then he can actually take it down. But there is a shield battery in the main base for it to kind of safely go back to, so that ends up being not the shield battery's purpose, really, but ends up being pretty good. And DnS gonna try and just go for some light harassment to the front with a couple of Adepts. Better than nothing, really. And the pylon barely put down there. Tries to guarantee the Adept kill, but misses the force fields, plural, and then loses both sentries. So that was definitely worth 2 Adepts. 2 Adepts just got 2 sentries. Are you kidding me? And a scout? Almost. That was a harsh loss. That's 200 gas going down there. All right, I was already kind of sucky. He missed the force fields, so the energy was gone, but then actually lose them that's harsh. DnS has bought time with that hold here to get into his own Robo, so his own Immortals will pop out. He still has 2 shield batteries to hold against any further attack from MaNa, so I'm not sure MaNa is expecting a lot from this. But if you can go ahead and slice off a Stalker, or your best case scenario, slice off that Immortal with a force field or 2, then that would be a pretty good push. Hallucinated Phoenix gets a good scout, sees that there are more tech structures on the way, but the attack does commence, and actually MaNa goes quite hard with it, but there's that slice up of the Immortal, exactly what MaNa was looking for. Really nice stuff there. Here come the Void Ray, or just the Void Ray, but the Warp Prism being a good farrier here, also keeping a distance away from that overcharge is going to be fine. Nice little poke in, not bad. Grabbing an Immortal is very expensive, and he didn't really sacrifice a ton to do that. All right. Now, it's still an even worker count. DnS still has that army supply lead. So many things have happened in this game. Little blows here and there. But DnS surprisingly going into another Void Ray. That's going to be 3 Void Rays, isn't it? Oh, it's the second one. Okay. All right. I mean, I'm looking at it because, again, that Void Ray, the 1 Void Ray, or if you're only depending on your Stargate still, like, more, right? But it's actually not like what you get in the mid-game with. It usually goes in the Templar Archives, which MaNa goes into first. DnS does follow up with, but, second Void Ray, very expensive unit. 250, 150 or something like that, right? Like, it's pretty expensive. Could have been a faster Templar Archives, but oh well. That will certainly defend against any Warp Prism harassment, I can tell you that much. Speaking of, DnS finally gets his own Warp Prism. Both are going into charge, +1 Archon, and probably both going to that third base. They both have their probes set up to at least keep up appearances, but I do believe they will go into it. And then it's going to be kind of one of those classic engagements around who has +2 faster and who gets the better angle of the attack, because they'll both have very similar armies, both in army type and army size. Which is the difference being DnS has these 2 Void Rays and 1 less Immortal. How do I learn up-to-date build orders? Terran build orders? Find replays released and then copy them from pros. WCS Winter released the replays like the day after, for instance. Thanks again, Bacon Hero! All right, third base for both parties. Oh, but MaNa did not start his +2. Oh, okay. So if he attacks, and this third base isn't going to get any probes, or, well, just transfer probes, I suppose. Oh, no, he just started. Okay. All right, that's kind of worrying, right? Because a lot of this does come down to that +2. It's almost always a trigger for any PvP that gets this far. You don't see many people just kind of go, like, you know what? I'm not going to move out. I'm just going to go to +3 attack. No, it's usually at +2. And MaNa's already going to be behind like 15 seconds, something like that. Now he's behind almost like a full minute, I want to say. That's harsh. He instead went for, I think, a faster Archon, but it's one of those... you are Protoss, you can literally chrono your upgrade. That's nice. It's like your opponent is probably chronoing it as well. So was that worth it? I don't know, but they're attacking before either upgrade's done, so currently even, but DnS, if he buys a little time, all he has to do is one more chrono, and that +2 will be very close to finishing. Equal armies, equal army supply. Who has the better angle? DnS gets his Zealots on top of MaNa's army a bit faster, and now has that concave, but MaNa does have that Guardian Shield. Actually, DnS never really gotten any sentries here. Is that going to be a big difference maker? It's actually gone, so not here, not now, but neither is that +2. It just finishes for DnS. But has he already taken too much damage? Doesn't seem that way. His armor supply is still greater than MaNa's, but he has lost a lot of that frontline buffer, I suppose. He was looking to get actually pushed back here, and he willingly accepts it. And I guess I do have to remind myself even that some of that supply is in Void Rays, which I don't want to say they're useless. They're definitely not. Like, they still do a lot of damage to a lot of these units, but they can be picked off with an overcharge. It makes them very, very slow, and maybe his army isn't actually quite up to par at that point, but as long as they're alive, they're adding certainly damage. That was scary. MaNa pushed into that, into a better concave for DnS after a little while. He was pushing into a faster +2 as well, but ends up going okay. And because that happens, DnS didn't get to hit his +2 timing at the precise moment and thus have a superior upgrade for quite some time. They are back to being equal upgrades, although DnS is once again faster than that +3. But a big attack in the main base, big warp-in, actually cancels out a lot of the warp-ins of MaNa. That was a nasty pylon loss and just more damage. The warp prism also being used to defend against that is not over here helping with the attack, but I guess it's ditto for DnS, right? So not much micro here, just better concaves, Fairness advantage maybe kicking in some ways. Those Void Rays, are you gonna be able to help? Okay, the recall goes down, so he's gonna lose units here. An Archon goes down, a couple Zealots went down, but the main base is currently still under attack. Not a lot of probes have gone down, but the pylon depowerment was pretty big, and then on top of that, he loses 2 of the gateways that were powered by that pylon, and a bit of lost mining time as well as 5 probes. So not a bad drop whatsoever. That's still continuing on, too. We have War Prism on War Prism action. Archon versus Double Immortal. Immortals do take down 4 more probes, right? 9 probes total, and still cannot be dealt with. MaNa has to replace gateways as he actually is banking a lot, so I guess that's kind of like the quote-unquote good news. And as long as you're not being immediately attacked again, then maybe that production lapse won't be the biggest deal, but I'm again worried about that upgrade. MaNa has at no point started that +3 attack. He doesn't have the gas. There was some denied gas, and in fact, missing the 3rd probe on this one is really quite big, so he's going to go for the attack, but what, like 20 seconds ago on that +3? With DnS, with the better army supply, even if it's by only a little bit, that seems like DnS would win this one. But look at the amount of Archons that MaNa has. Is that going to be the difference maker? We're talking about charge up versus Archons. It's actually only 6 to 8. It's not that bad, but 14 Zealots to 9. How is this going to look? MaNa, again, with that Guardian Shield helping out a little bit here. War Prism is on his side as well. The War Prism of DnS is going for the attack on the 3rd base. Is that going to be the biggest difference? The charge lots have all been melted away here at this point. What is left over for both parties? Immortal's still kicking in for MaNa. Is that going to be enough? Another charge out warp in is quite big, actually. DnS might be doing economic damage, but if he loses his 3rd base because he loses his army, he won't be able to replace that. Very close fight there, but the Void Rays even still being alive, just barely, but still. And the +3 attack ended up kicking in during that engagement. Oh, no. Is MaNa done here? Or does he have another solid attack? He's down in army supply, now heavily down in workers. No chance really to catch up on that upgrade. I think this might be it for our Team Liquid player. So many charge outs from DnS. MaNa now trying to replace his. He still has those Archons, which is great, but is that going to be enough? War Prism immediately targeted down by the Void Rays, and good micro all them as well as DnS cancels their overcharge to get them out of harm's way. A bit of a clump up there from DNS's Zealots, but that army supply, I think, is just too heavily in favor of DnS as he cleans up MaNa's army. That's going to be it. GG. DnS takes game number 3.